And if you could just begin by just telling me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, and what's led you to politics.
I grew up in a little farm town in upstate New York, and my wife and I came to Columbia in first week of 1972, and lived here and raised our children, and made this our home for 37 years, I guess that is, and have enjoyed it immensely. It's a wonderful town to raise children. Schools are good. We've had a great time here. Our friends are here. We love Columbia.
Now, you've served as representative before. Was it 23rd and 25th district?
23rd and 26th.
23rd and 26th. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it was the same district. It was just a redistricting change.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they changed the number.
Right.
It was effectively the same district.
So why are you deciding to run again now?
The number one factor that led to my I was retired from being a judge, and I was kind of happy, actually. I canoed 65 days last year and skied 25, and so I was having a pretty good year. These old professor friends of mine took me to lunch and said, "Chris, we're just getting our head kicked in here on campus in the legislature. Will you think about going back?" And so I am, and there's a whole lot of issues facing the people of Missouri in the 24th District, but the deciding factor was the treatment that the university is getting from the legislature. It is reprehensible and it needs to stop. It did not happen like that when I was there, and it's not going to it's going to stop.
Why the change? Why has it gotten so bad, in your opinion?
It's gotten bad because the extremist wing of the Republican Party is dominating their policy positions. And there is a lot of people perceive it as a dislike for research coming out of the stem cell discussion. The attacks on the university's right to do stem cell research were reprehensible, but it is greater than that. It's actually a contempt for the very idea of higher education and of research and even of knowledge. The idea that a level 1 research institution, that politicians can dictate the types of research that can go on at an institution like this, is absolutely fatal to this kind of an institution. I know personally good academicians who didn't come here because they're not happy with the climate, with the pervasive political climate, and the thing that the legislature is not perceiving, and that the university is frankly not defending strongly enough, is the constitutional independence of the institution. The people of Missouri, for whatever reason, and I think good reasons and sufficient reasons, decided that the university will be constitutionally independent of the legislature. That means that the legislature has it engaging in an unconstitutional act when it seeks to restrict the research, when it seeks to tell it, and the tuition is another thing. The legislature and the governor refuse to fund the university, and then they purport to tell the institution that it cannot raise tuition. Well, I'm as unhappy about tuition increases as everyone, but it is cynical and hypocritical to say to the institution, A, we won't fund you, and B, you cannot fund yourself. And to do so only for political gain.
So in addition to the things at the university, which obviously the university is a key part of this district, but what other issues are kind of top priority on your list, on your short list?
Certainly, elementary and secondary education is vital. The current legislature changed the foundation formula. The foundation formula is the funding mechanism for elementary and secondary education. The legislature, including my opponent, voted to change the foundation formula in ways which cost our local school districts a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, I mean millions of dollars a year. I don't mean a little bit of money. And And they did that because they think by moving the thimbles around on the table fast enough, people won't recognize that it's a con job to distract their attention from the fact that they're not funding elementary and secondary education. We're going to reorganize, don't you know? And reorganizing is always a good thing, reforming. But what those things are, they're covers for their failure to fund. That is vital. On a more prosaic level, economic development in the county, one thing that the legislature that a legislator can do is to convince the highway department to build the overpass at the airport. The airport exchange at 63 is one of the most dangerous places between Jefferson City and the Iowa line, first of all. So for safety reasons, we ought to build it. And second, for a long time, this community has wanted to spur economic development at the airport. No rational company is going to put their plant there if they can't get their trucks in and out safely. And so for economic development reasons and for safety reasons, the overpass at the airport is absolutely critical. Another big thing is that the legislature has in recent years, the legislature and the governor have felt it was appropriate to attack Missouri's model court plan. Missouri's system for appointing judges and electing judges is famous nationwide. 38 states have emulated it, have followed it. And the extremists want to put more politics in that system. It's a system that, of course, every human system has certain political attributes to it, but they want to increase the political participation by a significant degree. Having been a judge, I know how harmful that will be and will not allow that to happen on my watch.
You mentioned your opponent just briefly talking about elementary and secondary education, but what ways do you say that you do differ from your opponent?
The single issue that my opponent attacks me the most on is having voted for a thing called Senate Bill 380. Senate Bill 380 was a funding mechanism for elementary and secondary educations, which I proudly supported in 1993. And my opponent says it proves that I'm a dangerous tax and spend liberal. Well, what it did is it provided money to upgrade Missouri's elementary and secondary schools, and I'm proud to have supported it. And the thing that troubles me most about my opponent's opposition to my vote is that he does not have the courage to say that he would repeal it. He's willing to attack me for having voted for it, but he won't be forthright enough to say he is against it. I was wrong to support it, but he won't oppose it. So he essentially wants to take the money and run. And I disagree with that. One of the hallmarks of my 30 years in public office is that I'm painfully frank. If I'm for something, I'll tell you right up front I'm for it. If I'm against it, I'll tell you right up front that I'm against it, and I'll take the political consequences for that. My opponent clearly wants to have it both ways on the Outstanding Schools Act. 380 is the Outstanding Schools Act, same thing.
Right.